and welcome. You're watching NewsX and I'm Megha Sharma. The 2611 mastermind Tahawwur Rana is all set to be extradited by the NIA from America. Sources have now revealed that he is slated to arrive in India tonight or tomorrow early morning. Sources also say that there is a 7-member NIA team that is led by an ADG rank officer who is preparing to extradite Rana. Tahawwur Rana will be removed by the Federal Bureau of Investigation from the Metropolitan Detention Center at Los Angeles, where he is currently lodged. Meanwhile, NewsX has accessed the NIA dossier that nailed Tahawwur Rana's role and the ISI's involvement in the terror attacks. We have with us the very same document that explains how Pakistan hatched the 2611 conspiracy, and I'm going to put that dossier out for you for your reference. And let's take a look at this charge sheet, a 36-page charge sheet that has been painstakingly built by the National Investigative Agency. And here's a look at the charge sheet. Here it talks about the 2 individuals that were involved, that orchestrated and masterminded the 2611 attacks in Mumbai. And it mentions the name of David Coleman Headley, or Daud Jilani as he was also known as. He is Muslim by religion. He is the citizen of United States of America. In fact, there is also this 3rd page of the document of the charge sheet that mentions Tahawwur Hussain Rana and his details. His father's name, his nationality, a Canadian citizen who was born in Pakistan, his passport number and the date of issue of the passport number. Here in this charge sheet is mentioned that Tahawwur Rana as a member of the LET and Huji entered into a criminal conspiracy in or around the beginning of 2005 along with other co-conspirators who were based in Pakistan for waging a war against the government of India with the intent to threaten the unity, integrity, security and sovereignty of India, with an intent to strike terror in the people of India by causing death of and injuries to people, loss of damage to and destruction of property, provided tactical, material and financial support to furthermore of the said criminal conspiracy, such as assisted David Headley in obtaining visa for India, established the Immigrant Law Center in Mumbai, which was a front organization to cover their activities, visited India in November 2008 in furtherance of the said criminal conspiracy, which resulted in killing of 166 people, injured 238 persons and colossal damage to property in the 2611 Mumbai attacks. In fact, there's more information that the accused person, which is Tahawwur Rana, along with co-conspirators A1, A6, A8 and A9 conspired knowingly the commission of a terrorist act, made preparatory act for commission of a terrorist act by planning to attack the Chabad houses in different cities in India for causing death, injury to people, loss of, damage to, destruction of property. Here's a look at the case for David Coleman Headley. David Coleman Headley, who is being marked as A1 in this charge sheet, travelled to different places in India like Delhi, Mumbai, Jaipur, Pushkar, Goa and Pune on several occasions under the guise of a representative with a company known by the name of Immigrant Law Center, with its office that was located in Tardeo Air Conditioned Market in Tardeo Road, which is in Mumbai. There is similarly, in pursuance of the said conspiracy as alleged, Tahawwur Hussain Rana, who is mentioned as A2 in this document, had also travelled to different places in India. It goes on to provide names of the other conspirators in the 2611 attack. The investigation brought on record David Coleman Headley, Tahawwur Rana, others including Hafiz Saeed, Zakirul Rahman Lakwi, Sajid Majid, Abdul Rahman Hashim, Major Iqbal, that aided and abetted terror attacks in Mumbai. And let's take a look at some other of those salient points that have been mentioned in this document. Out of the 9 accused persons, 7 are located in Pakistan. 2 of them, which is David Headley and Tahawwur Rana, are in the custody of America. On the basis of the outcomes of the investigation, the court of the NIA New Delhi has issued non-bailable warrants against Sajid Majid, Abdul Rahman Hashim, Major Iqbal. There have been Interpol red corner notices that have also been issued against these accused persons. In fact, there is information that Tahawwur Rana was a co-conspirator who provided logistical, financial and other assistance to David Headley and the other co-conspirators towards the fulfillment of the criminal conspiracy to organize the terror attacks in India. In fact, it also mentions that Hafiz Saeed, along with the other co-conspirators, it has been established by the investigation that he was involved in planning, coordinating and executing the 26/11 attack of Mumbai. The specific incidents relating to attack on 26/11/2008 in Mumbai is subject matter of separate investigation by the Maharashtra police. It's also mentioned that Hafiz Saeed met David Headley on several occasions and took briefings about the progress of the reconnaissance and other tasks that were assigned to David Headley. The investigation also establishes how Zakir Rahman Lakwi persuaded, guided and handled David Headley for conducting reconnaissance in India, which resulted in death of the 166 people and several others injured. In fact, the investigation also establishes how Zakir Rahman Lakwi persuaded, guided and handled David Headley in conducting those reconnaissance in India. And there's also names mentioned of Sajid Majid, Sajid Mir, Wasi, Ibrahim. They were all involved in planning and preparation of the terrorist attack. They coordinated, guided and directed the other co-conspirators. The investigation establishes how Abdur Rahman asked David Headley to conduct surveillance of the places including Chabad houses across India, the National Defence College in Delhi and other places as well. In fact, David Headley changed his name from Dawood Gilani to David Coleman Headley to conceal his Pakistani origin and Islamic background. So these are the detailed accounts that we have been able to bring to you, the dossier, the compiled dossier of 36 pages and more that has now been accessed by NewsX. I'm going to bring my panelists into the discussion. I have with me Dhruv Katoch. Thank you very much. Dhruv Katoch, the number one question after Tahawwur Rana is extradited and brought to India, the first step is going to be for the National Investigation Agency to gain custody of him, to put him in remand, to question and probe him. How are we going to be able to establish the linkages of the deep state and the ISI, and who were these officials, the bureaucrats, the heads that allowed for the planning, plotting and the execution of this terror attack?
Thank you, Megha. Megha, I've got no doubts that once this person comes into, Tahawwur Rana comes into custody, he will be, his security will be ensured, because I think that is the most important aspect to be looked into now. He is a very, very important witness, and there is no way in which we can allow him to be harmed in any way. There will be inimical forces who will be out to get him. And I want to explain the reasons why. Now, you mentioned about the plot. In very great detail, the plot has been mentioned. There are two aspects to it. What happened in Pakistan? And the second aspect, I think, which is, in my view, the more important one, is what happened in India. Now, what happened in Pakistan, we all know. We all know that planning, the very detailed planning done by the Pakistani establishment, especially the ISI. Everybody in Pakistan, their political establishment, their military and the ISI, they were fully in the picture as to what is happening. So whether Pakistan denies it or not, it doesn't really matter. We don't need to give any additional proof. What I feel is required now is to look into the Indian angle. You see, right at the beginning, there was the conspiracy was not simply merely attacking certain targets in Mumbai. It ran deeper. It was to implicate another agency as being the handiwork behind the attack. In broad terms, they wanted to implicate the RSS as being behind this attack, which is why later on a book was also published on this attack to state that it was the RSS was behind this attack, and Mr. Digvijay Singh of the Congress Party actually went and released that book. Now that was the larger conspiracy, and I think with this questioning now, we need to break that conspiracy. Who were those people who were in the know in India? They had to be political leaders. They had to be senior political leaders, both in the government of India in Delhi and in the government of Maharashtra. Both of them at that point of time where the Congress was heading. There would have been some leaders, some people in the police at some level who would be in the know, and some bureaucrats. Now, what was that connection? I think that is the most dangerous connection which we need to find out now. On the Pakistani side, we already know what has happened. But that is one.
Okay.
I think the one more point I just want to bring out, is I think the very fact that he's been extradited is a very positive signal, because it is going to send a message to terrorists all across the world that the Indian state, the government is firm. We will get you, justice will be served. And I think with this message going across, it is going to be very beneficial to our own agencies to continue with the anti-terrorism operations and to wipe out terrorism to a very large extent from the country. Mega.
Sanjay Sahai, the big question over here, and while it is well established by way of documents and dossiers and a number of investigations that have been conducted by the NIA, that there is involvement of the Pakistan deep state and the ISI. This claim, this charge sheet, these proofs and evidences have been refuted by the Pakistani government, the Pakistani establishment. How successful are we going to be able to bring about in public and prove it that the Pakistani deep state, the ISI, was involved in orchestrating these attacks on the Indian soil?
Pakistan can still keep denying it till the time calls home. And there is no denying the fact that Pakistan will not maintain the same stand in the future as well. What is of critical importance is that we have taken it through the US Supreme Court, and finally the stamp of the US President has also happened. So there is rule of law by which it has been proven in the US court and in the US extradition process that we have sufficient and enough evidence to put him on to trial in India, which will be a very fair and a transparent trial. That being the case, there will be a large number of other connecting dots. So those connecting dots, most of it would have come in the current charge sheet. But with Tahawwur Rana coming to India, being brought back to India, I think there are lots of connects which will still be unraveled in his connections in Pakistan. I think that will certainly come to light. The other part of the story, as my earlier panelist has been talking about, that there is a huge amount of Indian connect. What is the connect behind it? That's a different story, but a very objective and transparent connect with regards to the places he traveled, what is the nature of reconnaissance done, and based on that preparation and that reconnaissance, this actual thing happened. And if you see that the details of how the triangulation was made and how the exact location was found out and the number they were able to get at around 12 o'clock in the midnight, that fateful night, which led to finding out as to from where the whole thing is orchestrated. All these things can be detailed in a much better manner. So Pakistan will keep continuing the way it has been. But the reality of the matter is that with Tahawwur Rana being extradited to India, there are lots and lots of things which can be unraveled both on the Pakistani side and the Indian side. And bringing our evidence, which is already nearly concrete, which has been proven in the US Court of Law, which finally gave the extradition orders, to make it further more concrete, take it to the Indian judicial process and convict this person.
Commander Bhushan Dewan, there is time and again mention of the names of the co-conspirators, and Hafiz Saeed is one of them. What are the chances, and will India ever be able to successfully extradite Hafiz Saeed and bring him to book?
Yes.
The same question to you, General Dhruv Katoj. I'll come back to Commander Dewan. I think there's an audio issue there.
No, I'm with you, Megha.
So, sir, can you answer my question?
Yes. Megha, a very, very detailed plot and subtle points I want to bring to your notice. The 9/11 plotters, two prominent plotters, they were also handholding these guys, namely Rana as well as David Headley. And you know what? He's ex-army captain of the Army, Pakistan Military Corps, Army Medical Corps, and he settled in Canada and started his first world immigration services in Chicago. And from there, and many branches all over the world. And the second, and he was in touch with Abdalian group, alumni group where he studied, and midway between he did his military training in Abdali area, and then he left, and he was in touch on the group internet chats, and through that he was in touch with the ISI and Pakistani military even after going to Canada and USA. And there he met his childhood friend in Chicago. He finally Rana set up his immigration services office, head office in Chicago, and he met his David Headley. David Headley, surprisingly, son of a Pakistani, and his wife was an American. And there he changed his name. Who? David Headley. To my mind, he is a key perpetrator of these things. And what he did, Rana supported Headley to come to Pakistan, come to India repeatedly as an American, David Headley. You will see a very surprising twist. If today in India you apply for passport, my wife is applying it just next week, and it is found that they ask you any aliases, any other names you had different. In case of American passport holders, they don't ask father's name, they don't ask for aliases also, surprisingly. And so David Headley passed as an American, and his fair color because of his mother being an American. And he traveled so many times to India, stayed in Taj Hotel, recceed around. I am from Bombay. I'm living in Bombay, and I know this naval area. I know Taj Mahal area, Leopold Cafe, and in Colaba, where you have fishermen colony, landing spots, all that. And along with David Headley, who came as an agent, business consultant, not agent, business consultant of First World Immigration Services of Rana. He came to India also as his business agent, and David Headley started along with son of Mahesh Bhatt, he started a branch office of First World Immigration Services in Bombay. And Rana also came, stayed with Headley, and Rana also stayed in Powai Hotel, Renaissance Hotel in Powai. He did a lot of recce merrily, and he checked out 5 days before the actual attack in 26/11 attack in Mumbai, Rana, and the attack unfolded. The point is, normally you find terrorists are normally recruited from poor class people, uneducated people. Both these guys, around 60 years plus now, highly educated, highly motivated, highly connected, rich people, and they have got into it in big time. And David Headley, actually, he would have been charged. It would have been great if we had been able to get him. But what has happened? Both these guys, Rana and Headley, also tried to bombard the Danish newspaper, where cartoons against Muhammad Rasul were printed. That didn't succeed, but they were together conspirators, and many Americans died in that.
Right.
And David Headley actually agreed he collaborated with the American government, and therefore he got a pardon. Else he could have also come. He is still serving his prison sentence for 35 years. So these subtle twists and turns have led to these two guys being the mastermind behind the whole game. Mega.
General Dhruv Katoch, as these important details come out, we're getting to know there were recce's that had been done, there were travel into India that took place from America, and this happened several times. There were visits that were made by David Headley and Tahawwur Rana in Pakistan as well. And within the country, there were several recce's, there were several visits that were conducted in Hapur, in Delhi, Agra, Cochin, Ahmedabad, Mumbai. In fact, there were also plots to have similar terror attacks taking place simultaneously in the rest of the country as well, where recce's had been done. Thankfully, those had been foiled. A situation such as this that arises, how important and crucial does it become for evidence to be collected from Tahawwur Rana, the fact that we are for the very first time going to be able to get his custody?
Very frankly, Megha, I think our intelligence agencies have all the evidence they already need. So there is with Rana coming in, there is nothing additional as in terms of intelligence. That sort of an intelligence which we need. We know which hotels he went to. We know where he visited. All that, those grassroots details. I think every bit of those details is known, and if something is left, okay, they'll get that. But that will not materially affect charge sheeting him and convicting him. So that point I think is going to be a simple one. I think what I had mentioned earlier, I think that is the important one. Who were his political supporters in India? And there has been a conspiracy that before the attacks took place, there were some in India who knew exactly what was happening and they were preparing for it. And they were preparing to blame everything onto another agency in furtherance of their political agenda. So I feel that what has really happened is there were politicians in India, there was the establishment in Pakistan, and there were these two terrorists along with their henchmen, Qasem, etc., etc. The whole plot went awry when Qasem got caught. And once he got caught, then everything unfolded. Okay, it is a Pakistani plot. Otherwise, they were very quick to blame it on Indian groups itself. And I think that was a very dangerous thing. So if we can unravel this plot, I think that is going to be a complete game changer, because the traitors who were there in India at the highest level, I think they need to be named and shamed. And this must come out in the public. If Tahawwur Rana can actually bring us towards that end by which the Indian perpetrators can be, I'm talking about the higher level perpetrators, people in the organization level, if we can get them. At the lower level, somebody has given them a hotel room, somebody has given them a taxi. I think those are all miscellaneous and very minor details. They really don't matter. But the larger plot, if we can get into that, I think the purpose would have been achieved.
Are you indicating at this point in time that there were people, organizations, bureaucrats at the topmost level that may have been involved in the terror attack?
I have absolutely no doubt that there would have been some senior politicians involved in this attack. They knew it, they supported it, and they let it go through. There could have been some people in the bureaucracy, something, not the entire lot. In these sort of cases, we are just talking about, say, one politician. We are talking about, say, one bureaucrat or one policeman at a senior level. Very, very few people, because these things don't come out. But there would have been somebody, and the people who were involved would be very, very senior. It will not be at the junior level, especially in the political department.
Sanjay Sahai, that's a very serious charge in wake of the controversy that followed, that ensued right after the 26/11/2008 attacks, about the perpetration of the propagation of fallacies such as the RSS's role, the saffron terror bogey that was circulated, and the support that it got from the then ruling government of the Congress, is something that is deplorable, that is unfortunate. But here we have, if there is question marks on the involvement of certain Indian individuals, Indian organizations, bureaucracy and politicians, will the lid ever be opened on any of these suspicions and probes that are conducted on the matter?
It is a federal agency which is investigating this case, and we are completely satisfied, I think all of us on the panel and in the country and also the US Supreme Court, that the investigation done so far has been fair, detailed, and there has been enough substantive and circumstantial evidence, forensic evidence and technical evidence which is available, based on which this extradition has happened. And if in that investigation nothing of this nature has happened, this would be, basically it was a kite flying at that particular point in time. Otherwise, all these stuff which we are talking about should have been a part of the investigation and should have been a part of the charge sheet. That this great element of a conspiracy has been left out in the investigation of 26/11 is difficult to believe. Nonetheless, if there are some ideas or some thoughts regarding that there be individuals behind Headley and Rana, that needs to be brought out. That the investigating agency will certainly do, and that Rana will be able to give further information, intelligence, or some locations or some clue with regards to a further conspiracy, which was the back end, might be one bureaucrat or politician has been talked about. I think that should have come out in the open much before. But as it may be, if it is something is there, I think NIA will certainly bring it out, and that will come out in the public. But
Okay.
as it stands today, I think the whole conspiracy which has been brought out, it is right there in the charge sheet. And based on that, Rana is being brought back to India. And based on what they are able to get out of Rana, I think further consolidation of the activities happening in Pakistan and the lower down connects, that will happen and consolidate this whole case once and for all, so that it goes through the judicial process and he is able to be convicted. Now, the second part which is being talked about, certainly if any clue comes anywhere, that will be consolidated. It comes through Rana or any of the links or the clues which Rana provides. It will certainly come out in the open. And I'm convinced of the fact by the time it goes, if there is a necessity of a supplementary charge sheet, that will certainly happen.
Okay. Commander Dewan, before I wrap up this discussion, quick response from you. I'm again going to highlight the fact that the perpetrator, the orchestrator of these attacks, of course, in conjunction with the ISI, is Hafiz Saeed. How soon or how much longer will we have to wait? And can the testimonies of Tahawwur Rana help us in extraditing Hafiz Saeed?
Surely, Megha, it will go a long way in unraveling all the facts and all the handlers, top level handlers behind his game. And but I must tell you this, that both Headley and Rana, their trial by High Courts of India in Indian courts has already been done in absentia. And David Headley, when he was being quizzed by Indian agencies, Indian courts, that is where it came into light that Rana was his accomplice. You see, so threats get revealed quickly, very fast. But right now, to my mind, the high-level perpetrator story, that kind of thing may not have been established while Rana was in USA, because first thing we do is get the perpetrator, get the actual culprit, the murderer or the man on the spot. Once he's brought in, and then he will naturally open up. At the first stage, you don't do it. And so now this will surely open up, because he can't be one-man army. So this thing will really open up big way. And I must tell you, I would not name the person, I met him. An undersecretary in the MHA that time, he has written a book on this also.
Okay.
And how the whole, and 2019, the whole thing started big time. 2016, after Modi government came into power, whole thing started big time. You can understand the motivation. 2008
Right.
and 2016. And 19, it got full speed. So you can see clearly the things are not as simple as they look on the face.
Okay, all right. On that note, I'm out of time. I thank all of you for joining me on the telecast, and we'll keep tracking all these major developments in anticipation of Tahawwur Rana's extradition and his potential arrival either late evening today or early morning tomorrow.